Donald Trump has long been seen as an instigator of political violence, but now, twice in the last 2 months, he has been a target of political violence. And Trump is blaming Democrats.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
Of course, even as Trump is blaming Democrats for their rhetoric, he isn't giving any second thoughts to his own. And Trump, throughout his time in politics, has trafficked in the language of violence. He has encouraged his supporters to beat up hecklers at rallies.
If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously.
He has said that a general who he thought was disloyal should be executed, most famously of all, January 6th.
And we fight.
When he gave that speech to a riled up crowd.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Even though he says he shouldn't be blamed for that, at that point he didn't do anything to stop the crowd. Even in the last week alone, we saw former President Trump at the debate with Vice President Harris talk about Haitian migrants in the town of
Springfield. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
And even though that story turns out not to be verified, there's no evidence of that, it has seemingly brought a lot of attention to this town that it didn't want. And in the last few days alone, they have had 33 bomb threats, according to the governor of Ohio. When Trump talks about language being used against him that he blames for inciting violence, what he's talking about are phrases like threat to democracy or threat to the nation.
Recognize the profound threat he poses to our democracy and to our freedoms.
What they're talking about, of course, is their fear that his autocratic instincts mean that he wouldn't abide by the Constitution if he returned to the Oval Office. He and his allies are making the argument that they have so vilified him that it would be natural for their supporters to assume that the only way to stop him from taking over the country would be to use violence. At the same time he makes that argument, he uses the same kind of language about them.
A threat to democracy. Trump is a threat to democracy. No, they're a threat to democracy.
We would have thought that after a former president was actually hit by a bullet, grazed by a bullet in July, that there would have been more of a sustained reaction, maybe a soul searching about where our politics is. But in fact, the campaign and the politics of the country pretty much went back to where they were before.